7 minutes. That's all it took for Tiffany Henyard to be out as the Democratic nominee for Thornton Township supervisor, and she left here visibly upset.
You didn't run none of this the right way. Illegal.
Thornton Township is in the midst of a political storm as Tiffany Henyard, the current supervisor of Thornton Township and the controversial mayor of Dolton, fights to hold on to her position of power. Both her critics and her supporters have been captivated by the chaos surrounding Henyard, whose political career is unraveling in a story of lawsuits, accusations, and dramatic altercations. With lawsuits mounting, contentious meetings devolving into public spectacles, and accusations of corruption and voter suppression, the unfolding drama in this small Illinois township has all the elements of a political thriller. The story took a dramatic turn earlier this month when Henyard lost the Democratic nomination in an unusual caucus for Thornton Township supervisor. The caucus replaced the traditional primary election, and the Democratic candidate Napoleon Harris, an Illinois state senator and Thornton Township Democratic committeeman, was elected. Henyard's name did not appear on the ballot because her slate did not include a certified assessor, a critical position. This technicality disqualified her from running, and she grew furious, accusing Harris of manipulating the election to keep her out of the race. Henyard reportedly confronted Harris after the caucus, saying, "You didn't run any of this the right way. That's against the law, Napoleon." After Henyard vowed to defend herself, the emotional altercation paved the way for a flurry of accusations, court cases, and public demonstrations. She and her allies accused the caucus of being rigged, claiming that voters were suppressed and the website was manipulated to prevent her supporters from attending. Henyard's team highlighted videos and personal accounts of her supporters, particularly seniors, being ignored as Harris's supporters allegedly filled the room. However, Harris refuted these claims, asserting that the caucus was conducted fairly and in compliance with all relevant legal requirements. While residents of Thornton Township may not be familiar with caucuses due to their rarity, many other townships in the state have held similar events. Harris emphasized this point, and his attorney Burton Odelson concurred, stating that Henyard's accusations were baseless and unlikely to hold up in court. Quote, "Defiant Henyard filed a lawsuit against Harris and the Democratic caucus, promising to expose what she perceived as a dishonest process. At the heart of the conflict is the decision to have a caucus instead of a primary election, something that hasn't been done in Thornton Township in decades." According to critics, Harris and his followers deliberately changed to a caucus to increase their power and keep Henyard out. "They would have gone to the polls if they could have defeated me," Henyard said in a pre-caucus interview. But Henyard's detractors paint a very different picture, accusing her of immorality and hypocrisy. During her time as the mayor of Dolton and the supervisor of Thornton Township, Henyard has been involved in many scandals, including claims of lavish spending and financial mismanagement. Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot's preliminary investigation into Dolton's finances revealed that the village's general fund balance dropped from over $5 million in 2022 to a deficit of over $3 million by May 2024. Lightfoot's investigation also revealed that the village's credit card was used unethically, with Henyard allegedly accumulating tens of thousands of dollars in Wayfair and Amazon transactions. One particularly startling sum was $43,000 charged to Amazon in a single day. Henyard critics claim that her financial misdeeds extend beyond Dolton to Thornton Township, where she is accused of embezzling public funds for personal gain. The luxurious lifestyle she leads, which includes personal stylists and makeup artists, has angered residents who struggle with a median income well below her combined yearly salary of over $300,000. Many neighbors believe she lives in luxury while they are trying to make ends meet. In addition to Henyard's expenses, the residents' anger is rooted in what they perceive to be a lack of concern for the basic needs of the community. An example of this, both Dolton and Thornton Township have seen declining infrastructure, a rise in crime, and underfunded public services, leading many to question if taxpayer funds are being used effectively. One resident remarked that driving through Dolton daily reminds them of the mayor's misplaced priorities. Even though the streets are dirty and dark, Henyard is hiring makeup artists and flying first class, they said. Residents have also expressed frustration that those who supported her have not benefited from her leadership. Despite widespread demands for transparency and accountability, These complaints have often erupted in public forums without resolution. Critics have also pointed to Henyard's questionable use of township resources during the caucus. She reportedly used township buses to transport her supporters to the caucus, which her detractors described as an unethical use of public funds. The problem was exacerbated when several buses arrived late, leaving her supporters stranded in icy weather. One voter questioned her leadership abilities as a result, stating, if she couldn't even organize her own campaign, she shouldn't be allowed to lead an entire township. Henyard's political rival, Harris, exploited this incident as another example of her lack of leadership and planning skills. The tension surrounding Henyard has increased due to a growing belief that she manipulates others through intimidation. Many township employees have privately stated they felt pressured to support her initiatives or risk being fired. Allegations of bias and coercive tactics have widened the divide between her administration and the public. A former employee described a workplace culture that prioritized loyalty to Henyard over the best interests of the community. These claims of a toxic workplace culture are now being used to explain her financial mismanagement, further fueling the perception that her administration is becoming increasingly detached from its constituents. There appears to be no end in sight to these disputes. During her tenure as mayor, Henyard has been accused of abusing her authority on numerous occasions, including using police raids as a tactic against businesses that refuse to sponsor her events. In one instance, a Dalton business owner accused Henyard of retaliation for declining to participate in a community event. Soon after, his business was raided and his license was revoked. Similar raids were reported by several local bar owners who alleged they had experienced political intimidation. According to critics, these actions are part of a broader system of intimidation and corruption under Henyard's leadership. Even within her administration, Henyard's leadership style has sparked controversy. Robert Collins, the former Dalton police chief, accused her of exploiting police resources for her personal security, reducing the number of officers available to patrol the streets. According to Brittany Norwood, she enjoys being surrounded by Dalton trustees and police officers because it makes her feel important. Despite these mounting issues, Henyard remains defiant, claiming she is the victim of a political smear campaign. During a recent township board meeting, she said, "They're attacking me because I'm a strong Black woman in power." Some supporters view her as a trailblazer, standing up to powerful political interests, and have reacted positively to her remarks. However, even among her supporters, divisions are beginning to show. Allegations of poor management and financial misconduct have cast doubt on her leadership abilities. For example, her cancer charity has faced criticism for failing to disclose its financial procedures. The Illinois Attorney General's office has warned the charity to cease operations unless it complies with state regulations. Critics argue this is yet another example of Henyard's disregard for transparency and accountability. Dalton is notably the only town where obtaining a business or liquor license requires hiring an attorney. As court battles continue, both Henyard and her opponents have much at stake. If she loses her fight against Harris and the Democratic caucus, she will face a tough road ahead in any election as she attempts to remain on the ballot for supervisor of Thornton Township. Additionally, her re-election bid for Dalton mayor is becoming increasingly challenging as opponents leverage her controversies to mobilize opposition. Reporters and neighbors both weighed in on the final day to see what happens as the contested U.N. mayor's result is put to the vote. Trustee Jason House, one of her rivals, has vowed to restore integrity to Dalton's government, and discontented residents appear to be taking notice. The public's reaction to Henyard's actions has been one of outrage, skepticism, and exhaustion. Social media has been flooded with comments from locals and visitors alike, many of whom are calling for her resignation or imprisonment. One critic remarked, "Imagine a criminal suing those who are trying to stop her from committing crimes." Another added, "Someone please put that criminal in prison already." Henyard's supporters, however, continued to defend her, accusing her detractors of playing politics and downplaying her achievements. During a recent protest, her companion Kamal Woods lashed out at the media, accusing them of spreading false information and exhibiting bias. "Want some tea? Come to me," he said, mirroring Henyard's defiant tone. Critics argue the media scrutiny is justified given the severity of the allegations against her. As the story unfolds, one thing is clear. The political climate in Dalton's Thornton Township is shifting dramatically. Whether Henyard can withstand the storm and maintain her hold on power remains uncertain. In 2012, Gertrude Miller recited a key poem for ceremony, a concept called the Samaritan. Though she has remained strong and defiant, her growing scandals and legal troubles may ultimately prove insurmountable. So, what do you think of this political spectacle? Is Tiffany Henyard merely the target of political sabotage? Or is she finally being held accountable for her actions? So, what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below, and if you don't want to miss out on the hottest celebrity news, make sure to subscribe to Daily Finder.